Alright, welcome back to another episode of Uncle T-Bone's Kitchen. And today we're going to be making a Mexican dish called bistec a la Mexicana. It's basically just a Mexican beef stew. Very simple, but one caveat, this one takes some time, and mainly it's just the cooking part, just kind of stirring every so often, but it's going to take some time. So not the easiest weeknight recipe, but if you got the time to do it, go for it. What you need is a bunch of tomatoes. I've got 4 here. Handful of green jalapeños. As we know, T-Bone likes his meals spicy, so I've got 4 here. You can cut it down if you don't want that much. Normally you would use a white onion. I had a yellow onion that I need to use. It's been sitting out for a while, so I don't want it to go to waste, so I'm using that. But white onion is what you want to use with in Mexican cooking. And then some top sirloin cut up into cubes like this. Pretty cheap cut, shouldn't be too bad. This is about maybe 1.5 pounds, 2 pounds. And what I've done already here is I've cut it up, I've cubed it, and I've salted it, and I'm letting it come down to room temperature. And then cilantro, cumin, dried oregano, and avocado oil or some sort of other neutral oil like bran oil, you know, that kind of thing. Not olive oil though. You don't want to use olive oil for this dish. All right, so then next step, you're gonna start cutting everything up while our stuff is coming down to room temperature. So we'll start with the tomatoes. And what I'm gonna do here is pull off all these stickers. Now, I've got fresh tomatoes here, and I like to cook with them. I enjoy cutting stuff up. I like the whole process of cooking. No problem at all if you want to use canned. Canned diced tomatoes will work fine with this. I'd use like 2 or 3 cans, depending on the size you're buying. And that's fine. You shouldn't feel bad about using that. In terms of flavor, though, you're probably not going to notice too much. Sometimes I'll go crazy and I'll get some heirloom varieties, but today we're just going to do some basic slicers. Oh, and then of course, you want something good to drink too. All right. So I always take off the tops of these tomatoes, and there's no specific way of cutting them up because they're going to kind of just turn into, not mush, but they're going to really just deconstruct when they're cooking. You just really want to get it diced, I guess is a good way of putting it for this meal. So cut them up. I sometimes do that method I showed in the other video where just kind of almost cut all the way through. These aren't the most firm guys. They're probably on their way out, which is why they were so cheap at the grocery store. Just cut them up. Make sure. Get them like that. That's pretty good right there. You can go finer if you want, but no need to. All right, so I've got them all fairly diced up. I'm just gonna kind of go over them once more, just kind of roughly chop. And you'll notice that I kind of struggled through these guys. It's because I have a really dull knife. Don't be like me. Keep your knife sharpened. If you don't have a sharpener at your house, I've heard the ones at home are not very good anyway. A lot of cooking stores will do it for you. You just don't need to be lazy like I am and actually take them in. I don't know the cost though. You'll just have to ask. But get your knife sharpened and it'll make your life a lot easier. Now see, we got all this juice. All this is kind of This is why I like this cutting board too. It's got this ridge that kind of collects things so it doesn't go everywhere. I'm gonna transfer all this into a different bowl and try to get as much of that juice just so I have more of a room to do some more cutting on. All right, so I've transferred all my tomatoes to a separate bowl, made short work with it with my little dough scraper, and it's really nice because you can get that juice kind of off the board, out of the way. I'm gonna save this because I'm probably gonna pour it into the dish later on. We'll see. But next up, we'll do our onion. And the prep for this onion is pretty easy. It's just like any other one for the first steps. You're gonna take off the skin and the ends. So you know how we did in the other videos, take off that first layer. Get a nice onion there. And I'm not dicing this, I'm just slicing. And for this one, what I'll do is cut it in half and then finally slice. You get these half moons or rainbows or whatever you want to call the shape. And that's it for that. You don't cut them anymore. Move those over to the side. And then we'll do our jalapenos. I've mentioned it before. Best thing about living with a dentist. The free gloves. And trust me, if you're a male and you're cutting jalapenos or any kind of pepper, and then you have to use the restroom, it is one of the most painful experiences. And I tell you, even when I wash my hands and remember, it's still not pleasant. Or taking out contacts, man, whew, that is a painful experience. And they stay spicy for a while in your eyes. Anyway, we're gonna cut our jalapeno top off like that. Then, so the seeds are what really makes this thing spicy. If you don't want a lot of heat, take the seeds out. I like heat, y'all know that. So I'm gonna leave it in, and I'm gonna do kind of these thicker cuts. So see how that is? That's about how thick you want it. Now, you can take the seed out just by punching that, like right there. And you get a kind of a hollow thing. And I just did that for demonstration purposes. But I'm not gonna do that today. I'm just gonna leave it like that. And grocery store jalapenos, you never know if you're getting a lightning bolt or if you're getting a bell pepper. We'll just have to find out. All right. Okay, so we got our jalapenos done. Next is cilantro. Now this is from my garden, and my garden cilantro is different from what you find at the grocery store. It's kind of, I don't know what's the deal with it, but it's kind of come in a little bit like stringy. I'm not even sure I'm going to use it, just because it looks like it's going to be a real pain in the butt to peel it. It also has like a unique scent to it. It's different than most cilantro, so we'll see. I'm probably not going to use this, but if you buy grocery store cilantro and you want to use it, which you should, it adds a good flavor to it. There's a trick you can use where you roll it up tightly like that, and you take a fork, and you stick it in, and you pull, and it pulls off most of the leaves and leaves the stems because you don't really want the stems. You just want that sticky icky. And so you pull it off, and then pull out any other stems that you don't want. And you got an easy way of peeling cilantro. You can do it with parsley too. I wish I had a better way of demonstrating it for y'all today, but I just don't because I don't think I'm going to use these. They just don't look good to me. All right, so now we're done with the jalapenos. We're done with the gloves. We're going to move on to the meat, and I'll show you how we start cooking everything. Okay, so we were back in our trusty Le Creuset Dutch oven. And what we're going to do to this is get it on about, Watch your lights, there we go. Medium-high heat. And you're gonna add in a pretty decent amount of your neutral oil. Like I said, I'm using avocado oil today. I know it sounds like a lot, but this dish needs it. So, a couple glugs, glug, and get that heated up and going. And you've got your meat, which has been ideally salted and sitting out for, 15, 30 minutes to come down to room temperature. We're gonna let that get up to heat for a little bit. This is a really great dish for serving to a group, like a group of people. Kind of a family style thing where you just take the entire pot, put it on top of the table with like a towel underneath it, and then have some tortillas, white rice, black beans. You can do, regular black beans. You can refry the black beans, whatever you want to do. And then kind of just everyone just pulls and eats how they want. You can put it in a tortilla, wrap it up with some rice and beans. It's great. Or you can eat everything individually. Fantastic dish. Great all year round. All right, so we're up to heat here. I'm going to get myself a nice wooden spoon and just kind of add these guys in. And you're just going to let them brown. Kind of spread them out so they're all in contact and not sitting on top of one another. And just let them brown. And I'm going to just add a little bit of salt. Not a lot because I already salted them. Key to browning is not touching. So they might stick to the pan initially. That's okay. They might make a mess on the pan initially. That's okay too. But you got to let it sit for a little bit to get some color into it. So I'm going to leave it on. We'll fast forward through this and you'll see kind of that change over time. And then I'll come back and stir it around a little bit. Okay, so we're going to go in for about 4-ish minutes. Just stir it around. And it kind of looks like a dead animal. That's okay. It's okay. It's perfectly fine to look like that right now. Try to get the other sides in contact with the heat as best you can. If you can't do it, it's all right. It's going to get cooked no matter what. All right, so give it another minute or two.
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
That's okay, Alexa. We don't need your help. So we keep doing this. Keep browning it a little bit. Depending on what oil you use, you might get a different color too. And all right. So we're looking good here. And at this point, you can add in your jalapeños, your onions, and your seasoning. So we're going to do that. I know what you're saying. What the hell, T-Bone? You just touched jalapeños with bare hands. I know, I'm an idiot. I'm a moron. Okay, so we're gonna stir this around a good amount. Get these incorporated in. Lower our heat down to medium. Okay, And then we're going to add in our 2 seasonings, which are, as we mentioned earlier, cumin, oregano. If you can get Mexican oregano, it's even better. I don't like to measure in this house, as y'all know. If I had to, I would say about that much. What is that? Tablespoon, something like that. Add a tablespoon in, maybe a little bit more. Same thing for the cumin. About a tablespoon. And then stir it all in to combine. Oop, onion away. I'm losing onions left and right here. Just make sure you get it nicely combined, and I might actually raise that heat up a little bit. And you're gonna cook this 10-ish minutes until these onions and jalapenos soften up. The goal is that they're gonna be soft, not stiff like they are right now. Just come back, give it a stir every once in a while. You'll be okay. Speak. 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 Woof. Speak. Woof. Speak. Woof. Woof. Good boy. Okay, so we're about halfway in. You can see these are starting to kind of turn translucent. We're not quite there yet, but we're getting close. Ooh, and the dog just ate an onion that fell on the floor. I don't think he's liking it either. What do you think, buddy? He says, no good. All right, at this point, I'd say about 10 minutes has gone by, and we're looking good. So, now we add in our tomatoes. And it's just as simple as that. Dump them in. Stir them around. And what's going to happen is they're going to start releasing all their juices. And it's going to turn into this beautiful stew. And at the same time, this tough top sirloin is going to start breaking down and becoming more and more tender, and that's why it takes time. That's why this isn't the easy or the most friendly weeknight dish, just simply because the time that it requires. At a minimum, 45 minutes. At a minimum. I like to go longer if I can, and I am going to go longer with this. But you've added in all your veggies, and you can see there's already a lot of juice in there. And you lower your heat down to low. And then give it one more stir. And cover her up. And then you're going to come back and you're going to stir about every 10 minutes or so. Maybe less. You don't want anything to stick to the bottom and burn. That's the whole point of that. So I just kind of I set a rough timer of 10 minutes, and I might come back before then, I might come back after, but we're just gonna stir every so often until that 45 or longer is up. All right, so like I said, I might come back earlier, might not. We're about 7 minutes into my 10-minute timer. We're gonna open this up, take a look, make sure all that liquid stays right there, and my spoon disappeared, so I gotta get a new one. Right. And we just give everything a nice little stir. You can see it's kind of forming into what may resemble stew. Isn't that the worst word? Stew. Ugh. Sounds so unappetizing, but it's so good. All right. Well, another 10 minutes. I know what you're thinking. What am I supposed to do with all this time where I'm just sitting here idly not doing anything? Dishes. Do the dishes. Knock it out now. Do as much as you can. There's not that many to begin with. Then you don't have to worry about it. Clean the counters, get all that going. Or, if you've already done that, call your mama, say hi. Tell her I said hi. All right. We're about another 10 minutes in. Whoa, almost dropped the hand or the pot. Look at that. Looking pretty good. Give it another nice stir. And I can already feel the meat is starting to loosen up a little bit. It's gonna feel really tough. And I'm telling you, don't make this unless you've got enough time to make it, because you gotta give that meat time to loosen up. You gotta give it time to tenderize and just relax in there. And it will eventually do it, but you just can't rush this dish. So we've got it stirred nicely. And I think I'm gonna increase my time here to about 15 minutes now, all right? So gonna leave a little bit of a crack there. See how I did that? Let a little bit of that moisture out too. And we'll do a good 15 minutes next. All right, so we're probably like 35 minutes in now. I figured no one needs to see me just stir a pot for every 10 minutes. And you can see it's really reducing. I've taken the lid off so this liquid can kind of evaporate a little bit more. And we're getting close. I think we need a little bit more time. It's still kind of firm. So I'm gonna keep it going. And maybe in about 15 or 20 minutes, this one will be ready. We'll see. Maybe not. All right. All right, so we're over an hour in now, and we've really reduced down, been simmering for a while. Everything's starting to get a little bit softened up, and I'm hungry, so I'm gonna eat this. The great thing about this dish is that it's one of those that once you finish eating for the night, you know, box it up, put it in the fridge, and heat it up the next day, it's even better. It just, all the flavors meld even more. It gets even better. What I've done in the meantime is I've made some white rice to go with it. Normally I'm, you know, putting tortillas with it or something like that, but I'm trying to cut back on that sort of thing these days. But great dish, really simple in terms of ingredients and prep. It's just a matter of time. If you got the time, go for it.